Before we begin this episode, I forgot to mention one little piece of info about Li Chaolan. Remember when Lars mentions the name Violet? These are massive grounds. Security looks pretty tight too.
This is Violet Systems, a world-famous manufacturer of humanoids.
Now that you mention it, I remember seeing some bizarre humanoid robots in the Zaibatsu files. They must have been Violet's work. Well, if you play Tekken 4 or Tekken Tag Tournament 2, you'll see what he looks like. Speaking of which, I'll show you a picture of him later on in the episode. But first, hello everyone, welcome to episode 8 of Tekken 6. In the last episode, we ran into plenty of nostalgic characters including Lee, the head of Violet Systems, and a joke character who happens to be Roger Jr. I already told you that I was excited to see Julia Chang when we rescue her from the G Corporation facility. You'll see why when we enter the episode, and boy do I have a good story for you. Alright, so without further ado, let's enter the G Science and Technology Research Building number 3. Man, how many levels do they have these long freaking titles? It just sounds odd to me. Who cares? Let's just enter the level anyway. Any idea what's up ahead?
G Corporation's research facility confirmed ahead. No further information acquired.
We'll just have to play things by ear then. Our mission here is to rescue Julia from these G Corp soldiers and the Jack robots. These enemies are holding Julia captive in the research facility and we gotta get her out. Remember, you fought these guys before in previous levels, so you should have no problem defeating them. Since we're fighting the same enemies, I might as well explain Julia's description about her entering Tekken 6. Julia's from the USA, and her fighting style is Xingyi based Kung Fu. After recovering her stolen data, Julia completed her reforestation research. She was headed back to Arizona to meet with a party who had agreed to assist in the realization of her reforestation plans. Waiting for her there was a prominent Arizona landowner, an old woman who claimed to have the ability to hear the voice of spirits. With the help of the old woman, the reforestation plans were on track to be realized. However, when Julia got up to leave, the old woman made an ominous prediction. Jin Kazama and Kazuya Mishima must not be allowed to clash. If they confront each other, a source of great evil will be resurrected and unleashed on the earth. Julia was skeptical of the old lady's prediction. However, after hearing news that the Mishima Zaibatsu had sponsored the King of Iron Fist Tournament 6 on the flight home, the danger seemed much more imminent. Julia decided that she would join the tournament. When we enter the boss's summit, I'll tell you my story about Julia and Michelle Chang and my experience with those characters in the Tekken franchise. That's enough! Who the hell are you? How could security let you pass right through? I'm not interested in your personnel problems. How about you let the girl go? No can do. She's a very important member of our staff. Well, so much for doing this the nice way. Get ready! Okay, so here's my story about playing with Julia Chang in the Tekken series. But before Julia, her mother Michelle is actually my first Tekken character that I played with. When I was a kid, I remember my mom used to take me to that skating ring where I had to skate around with tons of people. We played like a few games after, and it was actually pretty fun though. After I finished skating around with people, and when I was walking around just to explore a little bit, I found an arcade cabinet that was named Tekken 2. I was very interested in playing that game, and I saw a cute girl in the screen. It was in a character roster with a feather and headband. That girl that I saw in the character roster was Michelle Chang. I picked her and I wasted a bunch of quarters trying to fight the other characters. And she was very fun to play, but then again the future levels just got pretty difficult and, well, things didn't go very well. I ran out of quarters while playing, but I enjoyed the game so far. A few years later, my cousin had a game on the PlayStation 2 with the same title as the one on the arcade cabinet. And when I saw the name Tekken, I know it sounds pretty familiar to me. I tried it out and it has my character named Michelle. But I saw another girl with the same headband as Michelle, and she was named Julia. I never even heard of Julia before until I played this game. Um, my cousin had this game called Tekken Tag Tournament 1. It was actually the game that I noticed that there was another character with the same headband as Michelle, and her name was Julia. So I played with Julia, and I found out that she plays just like Michelle. And now I looked at Julia, and oh my gosh, she's very cute in that game, just like Michelle. Furthermore, I was very loyal to that character the minute I played with her. I completed every single mode with both Julia and Michelle in Tekken Tag Tournament 1. It was a fun ride, and I love that game. And I even had my sister play with it too, and she enjoyed it too. I felt like I wanted to play with both those characters for hours and hours and hours. And oh my god, I love those characters. Even though they play just similar, Julia and Michelle are very fun to play. And then, as for the future Tekken games, I know that Julia is going to be around for quite some time now, and I play with her along the way, except for Tekken 4, which I didn't even play that game. But, I digress. And for some odd reason, Michelle disappeared from the character roster, and I don't even know where she is. She disappeared from the roster ever since in Tekken 3 where I saw her in the cutscene that Julia was trying to rescue her, but well, I don't know. Anyway, Julia's my main Tekken girl throughout the entire franchise because she's cute, she's fun to play, she reminds me of Michelle, and she has a great backstory, especially when she was involved with Michelle, in which I found out as a kid still that Julia has an adopted mother named Michelle. So, yeah, that's my story of why Julia and Michelle are my favorite Tekken girls.
We detected an SOS signal transmitted by Mr. Lee Chaolon's research worker, Julia, and headed to the G Corporation's large-scale underground experimentation site. The high-level security made infiltrating the site difficult, but we succeeded in locating and rescuing Julia. In return, she temporarily disabled the security system, allowing us access to a blocked-off portion of the site. Now we are able to reach the front line of the G Corporation and Mishima Zaibatsu's base.
Alright, so our next destination is the Tekken Force, 4th Special Forces Operational Group Compound, a base considered to be the most critical out of all of Mishima Zaibatsu's military facilities. The most elite members of the Tekken Force are stationed here, awaiting their orders. Alright, so now we're at the elite section of the Tekken Force, so you gotta make sure you prepare yourselves before entering this level. So without further ado, let's go! It's begun.
Yes, I have confirmed it via satellite as well. Units stationed by the main gate have mobilized, along with those spread around the base. The G Corporation forces appear to be doing the same.
Yes, I expect they would be ready for any contingency. Let's go! Guess what? We got ourselves our own reinforcements, and they'll help us eliminate these Zaibatsu soldiers in front of us. Yeah! Now we have the advantage, and it feels good to be the dominant force! Anyway, the enemies you'll encounter here are the green, blue, and white soldiers along with the big red guy. Just to avoid the confusion, Lars' team are the red guys. The white soldiers are the female soldiers that either fight you with their bare hands or shoot you with a firearm, aka a machine gun. It's best that you should take out the enemy's machine guns first before you beat up the enemies in the surrounding area. Also, your team has enough health to eliminate most of the enemies. If they survive, that is. Just keep your cool and don't allow the enemies to swarm at you, or else things will get pretty ugly. The level is very short, but the boss's summit is straight ahead of you. Now that you enter the boss's summit, the enemies will spawn and drop into this area. Keep battling these guys until the boss gets here. If he arrives, then this area will be very irritating because the enemies will spawn out of nowhere and you won't know if one of those enemies will approach you and then attack you. Take care of the enemies first, before you fight the boss. Also, don't forget to collect the item drops when you're cleaning up this mess. Tell us about Jin. You do know who you're asking, don't you? Yeah, but I got a goal to complete, and nothing's gonna stop me. Okay, so this is Eddie Gordo, the first capoeira character ever appeared in a Tekken franchise. His first appearance is in Tekken 3. His fighting style is capoeira, of course, and he's from Brazil. Christie has a similar moveset as Eddie, so Christie is actually Eddie's Echo Fighter in the Tekken series. They have a similar moveset, but Eddie's description is a lot different from Christine. So, let me read it to you. Eddie failed to win the King of Iron Fist Tournament 5. He pleaded with Jin, who had become the new head of the Mishima Zaibatsu, to help him save his mentor. Jin agreed to help develop medical treatment for Eddie's mentor in exchange for Eddie reporting directly to him as part of the Tekken Force. Eddie knew nothing about the Tekken Force other than the fact that it was a private military outfit, but he agreed to join if it would save his mentor. At once, Eddie became a member of the Tekken Force and carried out the Mishima Zaibatsu's plans of destruction around the world. Even though he knew the consequences of his actions, Eddie was unable to leave the Tekken Force. When the Mishima Zaibatsu announced the King of Iron Fist Tournament 6, Eddie joined the tournament as a member of the Tekken Force in order to eliminate those who would threaten Jin. In order to save his mentor, Eddie had no choice but to join the Tekken Force. He was silent around Christie about this situation, especially with Jin, because he didn't want Christie to get involved in the Mishima Zaibatsu, thus leading herself into danger. Well, enough about that. Let's talk about Eddie's fighting style. He can breakdance with his capoeira skills, and he's fun to play. On the other hand, it'll be very tricky to fight against him, so you have to search for an opening when he's dancing around. Overall, Eddie is very unique in his own way. If you have a Tekken game with Eddie or Chrissy, I recommend you give them a try. You'll love their fighting styles.
The dual attack strike, Operation Gemini, has been initiated. In the battle with the Tekken Force's 4th Special Forces Operational Group, many lives were terminated. My olfactory sensors detect the scent of death. Ultimately, we received the boot up key to the weapon known as Nancy MI847J. I wonder if we will have a chance to use it.
Alright, so our next destination we're going to visit is the G Security Service Operations Headquarters, a base where the finest of the G Corporation soldiers are stationed. They are busy preparing for an arrival of the Mishima Zaibatsu forces. So, let's go! What's the situation?
The units in position have commenced their assault on the facility. There are no casualties as of yet. Conditions on the Mishima Zaibatsu side are much the same.
Roger that. We should get moving too. This area is very tough. There are tons of enemies that are gonna swarm you when they see you. The enemy soldiers will have so many annoying weapons and elemental attacks that'll either electrify you with stunt rods or burn you with their bare hands. It's a good thing that there are no enemy soldiers with machine guns. It'll be a lot worse if they are on this level. But nope, they aren't here, so no worries. There are also jack robots in this area as well. One more thing, this pathway has a limited amount of space to run around. If the enemies push you or knock you off the edge of the platform, or if you fall off while attacking the enemies, it counts as instant death. Even if the bottom floor looks like you can land on it, it still counts as a death. So be careful when you're fighting the enemies near the edge of the platform. Your partner Alisa can also fall off the edge. If that happens, then the enemy assault is going to be a lot difficult to take down by yourself, especially when you're fighting the boss and his reinforcements in his summit. Your best bet here is to fight the enemies at the center of the pathway in order to prevent yourself from falling off the edge. There's also a flamethrower in this level that you can burn your enemies away from you, so use it wisely. You might have to carry the flamethrower to your boss's summit. One more thing as well. Keep an eye on Alisa. She might have some attacks that will actually move her and then she'll accidentally fall off the edge of the platform. When it comes to beat 'em up games like Tekken 6, it's so much fun to knock enemies off the edge of the platform, especially in this level. I love to do stuff like that. It's so much fun. If you want to try it, just go for it. You're the commander, I take it? Yeah, I guess you could say that. And I take it you're the leader of this rebel army? Where's Kazuya? Not a very patient leader, aren't you? Fine. Defeat me and you'll have your answer. Bruce Irvin. This guy is one of the toughest adversaries I've ever faced in a Tekken game, especially in Tekken 6 and Tekken Tag Tournament 2. He's the Tekken version of Sagat from the Street Fighter series, and Bruce has a classic costume that resembles Sagat. So here's his description slash bio of entering the King of Iron Fist Tournament 6, aka Tekken 6. Bruce is Kazuya's bodyguard in Tekken 2. He's from the USA and his fighting style is kickboxing. During the King of Iron Fist Tournament 5, Bruce reunited with Kazuya Mishima and aided him in his plot to take over the G Corporation. The G Corporation, controlled by Kazuya behind the scenes, began a war with the Mishima Zaibatsu. As the leader of a private force reporting to Kazuya, Bruce traveled to the globe, eliminating Mishima Zaibatsu operatives. When Kazuya's plan to destroy the Mishima Zaibatsu began, the G Corporation put a bounty on Jin Kazama's head. Then, just as expected, the Mishima Zaibatsu made its move and announced the King of Iron Fist Tournament 6. In spite of the obvious ambush that awaited him, Bruce entered the tournament for a chance to capture Jin and the reward.
We attack the base where the G Corporation's Security Tactical Operations Center is located. Within the hangar space, the enemy's high-voltage stun attacks and narrow catwalk created a precarious situation.
Our next destination is the G Corporation Millennium Tower, the headquarters of the international conglomerate G Corporation. Its main tower, large enough to house several thousand employees, is protected by an advanced security system. So after we completed this level, we'll end off the episode. G Corp's Millennium Tower. What are we up against?
A large number of soldiers has already been deployed. That is most likely their last line of defense. Caution advised.
Roger. Proceeding with caution. Oh, sorry about that. I got interrupted for a second. But everything should be fine now, so let's proceed to the level. Remember the boot up key that you got from Eddie's stage? Well, in this level, right before this stage begins, you have a choice. The pop-up menu will ask you if you want to use the boot up key to activate the Nancy robot. If you choose no, you'll have to trudge through this stage on foot. Completing the stage on foot unlocks an achievement. If you opt to use the boot up key, you'll get a different type of reward. The opportunity to lay waste to the stage piloting the Nancy robot. I'll show you the Nancy robot at the end of the episode, right before I show you Violet, which is Lee's disguise. This level is tougher than Bruce's level. There are so many G Corp soldiers with machine guns, stunt rods, and red gloves that deliver fire damage to knock you down. Remember what I told you about enemies with machine guns? You need to take them out first so you don't have to worry about being disturbed by their gunshots. There's also the Jack robots and the giant robots. They're everywhere! There'll be tons of these guys spawning in the boss's summit, and it was rough. I died on my first playthrough of this level. This enemy assault is no joke. If you have a hard time completing this level on foot, don't worry. You have the option to utilize the Nancy robot in order to complete this level easily. But you have to come back later and defeat the boss on foot with your chosen Tekken character and Alisa with tons of health. It'll take a few tries to accomplish this achievement, but the results are worth it. If you're playing this level on hard mode, all I can say is this. Just bring whatever custom material you have, especially the health, and, well, good luck with that. You're gonna need it. Mind getting out of the way, ma'am?
Ooh, I always like helping a handsome man in need, but I'm afraid I can't let you do that. Time to die.
Okay, this is Anna Williams, the sister of a blonde girl named Nina Williams. Although they're both sisters, they still don't get along. Even today, they're still going at it. Two sisters work in two different conglomerates. Anna works at the G Corporation, and Nina works in the Mishima Zaibatsu. So here's Anna's description for entering Tekken 6. Anna is Nina's Echo Fighter in the Tekken series. Her moveset is similar to Nina's but with different properties. She appears in the very first Tekken game. She's from Ireland and her fighting style is assassination arts. Anna suffered an embarrassing defeat at the hands of her sister, Nina, during the King of Iron Fist Tournament 5. Anna searched for an opportunity to exact revenge on Nina after the fight. However, Nina had been hired for a covert operation by an unknown employer, and has been virtually invisible since. War engulfed the world in the wake of the chaos that was triggered by the Mishima Zaibatsu. Anna caught wind of top-secret information that linked Nina to the Mishima Zaibatsu. Anna joined the elite G Corporation with the hope that it might lead her to her sister and a chance to exact revenge. Oh my god, did you see how much health I've lost in the boss's summit? Man, those giant robots and the jack robots deal so much damage. Even the enemy soldiers continued to interrupt me by swarming and piling up all over me. It was nuts! Well, it's a good thing that Alisa is distracting the enemies while I recover myself collecting chicks on the ground, along with the treasure boxes and other items. The chicks, you mean the yellow birds on the ground that recovers your health. That's what I mean. Did you see me tackling Anna while her health gauge is low? Yeah, it's pretty funny. I saw the advantage and I took it. I used Lars to tackle Anna and now she got KO'd by me. A sneaky attack, and it's pretty funny.
With the assistance of Mr. Togu's men, we succeeded in reaching the entrance to Millennium Tower. Even from a distance, the tower appears large, but up close it is overwhelming. There is much reason to believe that Kazuya Mishima is residing on the top floor.
And that concludes episode 8 of Tekken 6. In the next episode, we're gonna meet Kazuya at the Millennium Tower heliport, and we might be able to confront Jin Kazama at the Mishima Zaibatsu. We're pretty much close to the end of the main story, so just be patient. Before we end the episode, I promised you guys that I showed you two things. The Nancy robot, and a picture of Violet, Lee's disguise from Tekken 4. So, here you go. Well, looky here, we're a giant robot in Tekken 6. How cool was that? Well, as a Nancy robot, all you have to do is tear everything up in this level. Destroy every enemy you see and wreck everything. Shoot everything. Destroy everything. You're a giant robot for crying out loud. Nancy has a ton of health and it was a fun mechanic that you can play as him, only in the scenario campaign mode. As for Alisa, well, don't worry about her, unless the enemies KO her in this level. You can still revive her with a first aid kit, but you still need to destroy all the enemies though. You need to destroy them all! Another thing that I had to bring up is that in the arcade mode, you can fight Nancy, but you have to win that round and avoid his attacks and tricks. If you lose to Nancy even once, you have to play the arcade mode all over again. You can only get one try to defeat him within the time limit. If you defeat Nancy, you get an achievement. It'll take you a while to accomplish this goal, so don't give up. Just try and try again until you achieve it. Okay, that's enough Nancy for today. We all know that he's the supreme ruler of this entire level by destroying everything in his path and yada yada yada. Here's a picture of Violet from Tekken 4. What's interesting about him is that not only does he work at Violet Systems with robot components and mechanics, but he's an alter ego of Lee that speaks English. That's right, Lee Chaolan is bilingual, meaning he can speak 2 different languages, which is pretty cool. Normally, Lee speaks Japanese, and Violet looks like he came out of a Capcom game called Devil May Cry. If you don't know what that game is, I recommend you look at it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Alright, that's just about it. If you want to learn more about Lee's history in the Tekken games, you can check out the links below the video. And now we can conclude this episode. So, I'll see you guys later.